Hello and welcome to United Rogue Overwatch. Today we got a match between Houston and Montreal. Big game. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, this is gonna be a very deciding match. Because currently Houston is leading 2-0, and Montreal and Miami both have, what is it, 2-1 or 1-2 for us and 1-1 for Montreal. So if Montreal wins, this will be big, and it'll be a big upset.
Yeah, I expect good things out of both of these teams, really.
Yeah, because MTL has only lost to us, and we only lost to Pitt, and we were down a player. So we'll see how well they do. From what I've seen, Houston's been very good at like comboing their ults together, and Montreal had just been really good at like coordinating plays and like in general have good skill.
Now, I see we get a ban on Ilios and Busan, and we might see. We are going to see the first Antarctic Peninsula of the season, I think.
At least in Emerald. I know in Ruby we had it earlier today.
Yeah, interested in seeing if either of these teams have some strats on this map, because there's some wacky points for sure.
Yeah, I think on Houston they play Czar. At least that's what I mainly saw. But I didn't see the second stream because that was not like available. So at least the first stream that was available, they played Czar and Pharah, and I think Junk, or maybe Widow. I think it was Widow.
I'm interested in seeing if that Czar comp, because there's 2 points where that Czar comp could work pretty well, but there's that interior point, the one with the high ground and the whole chunk of the map that doesn't get used.
Yeah.
That one maybe not as good for the Zarya. That one's kind of a wackier map.
Yeah, I would probably not run Czar there, but we'll see what they do.
And we're getting into it.
We got, I have no idea what
the Icebreaker.
Icebreaker
is actually my favorite, especially because it's pretty good for ball.
Yeah.
There's lots of poles to spin around.
And funnily enough,
we'll see a ball though.
I think this is actually the first map that they got in Ruby too, earlier today.
Interesting.
Let's see what they play.
This is probably my favorite out of the 3 sub maps.
All right, so they got like a Ryan Juno comp and a, I don't know, okay, so they got a Ram comp with Juno. So they have basically
like a brawl poke hybrid with Kiri, maybe and a brawl dive hybrid with Tracer.
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, they have sim, so maybe they're either using it to get out of spawn or they're gonna use it to like do some sim TP strats.
We've seen Dead Inside play sim. Looks like they're committing to it.
Yep. And they're using it to get in. Yep.
Yeah, first fight rolling out in this first high ground. Sim turrets are set up.
Let's see here. Kind of just
Montreal working in some of those off angles. Gonna charge in from Chris.
Oh, big wall.
Chris is walled. Chris goes down.
That's a big pick.
Still scrappy, even though Montreal's down a tank, but they're losing point control because of it.
Yeah, they have to sit there and sustain a little bit. Beatdown got kind of poked out.
Let's see how Montreal decides they want to attack this point. They're putting the Tracer on just to get some pressure and leaving.
Let's see here. We're getting into 50%, 60% territory for ults.
Yeah, Houston firmly set up on this choke.
Okay, they do the
TP behind.
TP behind.
The Rhine is split.
Oh, Ryan goes down. And so does the Juno. Let's see.
Unfortunate the Rhine didn't make it through the TP with them. I can see what they're working at.
Yeah, they're trying to do the sim TP strats, but it seems like they're just shutting them down immediately. Especially with the May wall.
Marked up on the May, pretty crucial for this Houston comp. And we see the Orisa switch. out of Chris.
Yeah, I think that's just to get
I
rid
think
of.
they're gonna go for more of a face-to-face brawl here.
Oh, they wall him off. That's a big wall. And Chris is low. Chris goes down again. Yeah, they're kind of just sectioning off the tank with the Mei wall and just not letting their team have free reign.
You know,
They kind
the
of
Mei
need
is
to.
crucial to this Houston defense.
I think they either need to like use some cooldowns to bait out the wall, or they need to like do something to play around it.
You either focus fire that wall or you find a way to get around it.
We'll see.
Points ticking up to 90.
I mean, they kind of
Parasite's
have
on
to get
backside.
Okay. That's a big Juno ult. They pop Sim.
Wall's down. Chris getting frozen.
Chris getting out though quickly. A lot going on. March
Looks
falls.
like
That's
a cleanup from Montreal here.
Then
Using 3 ults.
That's an expensive fight.
But crucially, it was expensive on both sides.
Yeah. I mean, what? Chris has ult and nobody. Wait, actually, both tanks have ult, so it's pretty even actually. But Para does have close to pulse.
Yeah, that pulse bomb will be coming out soon. Deceptively fast. Houston pushing in on the high ground, going for that high ground take.
Parasite is like going in the back, trying to distract Mark. Mark with the Pharah swap.
They did swap off the Mei comp. I mean, they got 99 out of that Mei. Poke coming in from Mark on the off angle. He's angling on the back line. Parasite contesting that off angle.
Houston's tank going in. That's a.
Montreal's looking a little split.
There's
Chris
two
getting
big
two
picks.
crucial picks.
Okay.
The annihilation.
And it's just a ram, I believe. That's a close fight though, but they managed.
It comes
to pull
down
through.
to the last 2v1 there.
Well, now both tank ults are out of play, and it looks like on both sides they're pretty even. Actually, no. It looks
Houston is going to have a big advantage with this High Noon and Kiriko ult once they get that charged all the way up.
Yeah, but they have pulse right now, so I mean, if Para can hit one of those pulses on like their supports, you know, that'll be big.
If Montreal can play the tempo here with their one ult, make it worth a team fight, that could be huge. And it's coming down to one fight territory, honestly. This might be looking good for Houston. Coming
Mark
up
is
on
really low. Let's see. Oh, he's back up.
High Noon is in Houston's pocket. Biscuit gets pulse.
Biscuit pulse. That's a big pulse.
The High
That's
Noon
huge.
gets canceled.
Oh, that's crucial.
This is huge
Biscuit,
for Montreal.
Biscuit had that ult too, so.
Green looking low. Green goes down.
That's big.
It's just
a
a
ramp.
tank left. But we are gonna get a tracer touch.
No?
Yeah.
They come back. Yep.
We get the Kiriko TP
I
onto
mean,
point,
They're kind of clean up.
and
at
that
this
looks like
point.
it.
Man, that was close. I mean, if I'm
mean,
Houston, I don't really know if I wanted to swap off that Mei. I mean, that Mei was kind of messing up the tank and its energy, and then the instant they swapped off, they kind of was able to play the game again.
Houston had a really strong defensive strategy with that Mei on that point. I mean, they got first cap and they got it all the way up to 99, but you know, after swaps, like Montreal's just out sustaining.
Yeah, I mean, especially with that Orisa pick. I mean, they had
And we're seeing the swap to Zarya.
to counter the
I think that could go well for
Yeah.
Houston, especially on this sub map. This sub map.
I think they're saying with the Zar, they tried to combo Zar Grav into Pharah ult, and that was kind of like
It's
ult
a really
Grav
big
Dragon.
combo.
So
I've
we'll
seen
see if
Mark
that
play
works
on
again.
Pharah. It's pretty strong.
Yeah, I just don't know if it was as strong as like that Mei at the beginning, because I think he wanted to stay Mei until they swapped to Zar, you know?
It's harder to take the point with the Mei than it is to hold the point. And they definitely
true.
got their percentage out of the Mei pick.
Yeah. Well, let's see what this next round holds for us.
Yeah, Houston taking
Poker
early
goes down
point control.
early.
Montreal spread. Getting
Okay.
a pick on green.
I mean, that's pretty even now. They're
this,
4-4.
this could turn around at about 15%.
Oh, Biscuit falls. And so does Sanity. They're up 3-2.
Yep, just about 15%.
And they recap. I mean, this is going pretty neck and neck right now. I think it's anyone's game at this point. It's just whoever gets that first pick, you know. Especially, and MTL has been crucially getting their supports early.
I think Montreal's got the long play in mind for that first fight. They really gave up, you know, point control for really just to set up a noose around that point.
Yeah, and also I noticed Booger swapped to Moira, and then they swapped to what, Lucio? Were they Lucio Juno before? Oh, Chris falls.
Yeah, Chris goes down, and they're gonna push point on that. This point's gonna flip. Now we're looking at 2 ults on Montreal's side, and we're about to get Pharah ult and maybe Grav if it's a long fight here.
Yeah, it depends on if like how long this fight drags out, because like in between fights he's losing this charge constantly.
You know, it could be close to get out that Grav combo.
Let's see here.
But
yeah, he's
Montreal's
basically
coming up
charge.
on almost all their ults at that point. We're just looking at
They're trying to take this high ground. That's a big. Oh, okay, he falls.
the trade from Marked Up.
That's honestly that's a worthwhile trade for Houston.
Yeah, crucially, Houston still has their tank,
Yep.
so
And
that
he's
point
pretty
is
high
not going to
charge.
flip. Dead inside, going for some heroics.
Okay,
Tracer
the
Racer
grab.
gets captured in the grab.
Okay, it's just Zarya right now though.
Getting
Okay,
very
Mark,
scrappy.
back.
Chris is almost back with Booger on Moira.
Wait, Mark cleans
Looks
up.
like its logo's down.
Sting like a jellyfish.
This Zarya just putting immense pressure on Chris. Chris deciding to back out and regroup.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think after
Could be getting in one fight territory for Montreal. They really need to flip point. But they do have the ult bank to do it. Go
Okay,
for
they
an
want
early
Moira
cold
ult.
into Kitsune Rush.
Okay, force out the Kitsune.
And a late overclock. Trying to get some picks. Both supports for Montreal are down. Chris goes down into.
See, I think it's just a Sojourn
This is
left.
looking like a cleanup for Houston here, making it 1-1. Close map, close series.
It's just been close. Like it depends on who falls first, right? Whoever gets that first, support pick, it usually seems to be the one that wins.
Just both teams, struggling to take that space without overextending.
I mean, crucially, also, I think they, if I'm MTL, they swapped to Moira, and now they have Moira Alari. They had Lucio speed, but Juno speed is not only more usable and easier. She also has more healing output.
We're seeing
So,
a Lari pick out of Tracer. No, just a
Okay.
joke.
Okay, they went back to Juno.
It's actually
So
Juno. Marked up on the Torbjorn though.
swap to bring Juno. Okay, so they're bringing out the meta comp. I don't know about after the new patch, maybe, but
Montreal with early high ground control.
okay, they wall off the tank. He's holding shield though. He falls.
Gets blown up by the Torb. No, the Torb pick is really good into a Reinhardt, especially if you're
Oh,
running
yeah.
this May
Marked
wall.
up trying to hammer dead inside.
Montreal trying to get a cheeky cap, but if they stay too long, they're.
I mean, they're kind of just split right now, and they're down.
And Chris is back.
Okay.
Goes for a pick on Insanity.
Insanity's
Closing in on the
gone.
May.
He gets the
Ice
ice
block
block though.
forced.
No, he dies though. He probably popped it and then released it so he could die and get back with his team. Let's look at the ult economy. I mean, it looks like Houston has more ults. It's close.
I mean, it's fairly even. All of Montreal being over the 50 mark.
Except for Tracer, but But yeah, I mean, Juno ult you charge pretty quickly even after the nerf to it. Parry swapping Reaper? I didn't notice that before. I guess that's...
Looks like Houston's
gonna-
bunkering this mega room, just trying to leverage their Mei wall. Mei wall goes out and the Mei gets picked.
Oh, and
Montreal
there
just
goes
pushing in
Orb.
on their core.
Echo copy, put in another tank, basically.
Just a bit of an overextension out of Houston and a big punish out of Chris with the K and dead inside.
Well, they need to regroup and fast. I mean, they're already at 50% and counting.
I mean, never say never, because Montreal took first point after 99.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see what they do. Looks like they're trying to take this high ground. They're gonna
I
drop.
really like the echo out of Montreal on this map. Plenty of angles to leverage with the high ground and
Yeah.
the flying.
Okay.
Kitsune Rush immediately hammer dropped into the Kitsune Rush.
There we go. Their tank is down, and
Huge shatter from Chris.
I think it's just Para.
Clean up from Parasite. Yep.
Para gets it, but I think it's okay. I mean,
Colossal shatter in that Kitsune
Yeah.
Rush.
is they gonna touch?
Yeah, and Montreal's just gonna ult dump to make sure they can't touch. Really, really close play out of both teams. Montreal just clutching it up on this last map.
Yeah.
I'm interested in seeing where this series goes.
Yeah, I mean, where do they take them next? You know, like.
I mean, Jack, if
for-
you're Houston, where are you looking to go to leverage the strengths of your team?
I mean, when I saw them play before, it looked like, you know, Houston was very strong on that, like the Widow. I think Insandy played Widow, and Marked Up was on the Pharah. So what they did was, I think they played Czar, Pharah, and Widow, and just kind of
So you think maybe
One
we're
hell
looking
down.
at a circuit or a midtown
Probably.
pick?
probably, maybe even a Hollywood.
Ooh. Hollywood can be tough. That first choke's very, it's very hard to overpower a defensive team on that first choke. Strong defender's advantage.
Yeah.
Could be really
Well-
strong for a poke comp.
I mean, we'll see where they take them. I mean, they also had a good May, so, you know, they could just take them to any hybrid.
I am a
I
big fan of the Mark May. It's pretty big when you're playing that Brawl v Brawl.
Yeah.
Maybe even a Brawl poke hybrid.
Although the Pharah does put in work when he's uncontested. Although I think they didn't really have any hit scans last round, but they were on a like more enclosed map.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where they take us.
We'll see. Nothing in chat yet. They're probably deliberating. I mean, that was a close first match, so
And
I
if you're
mean,
Montreal, you're probably hoping they take you to a Brawl map. Honestly, Montreal's Brawl is looking very strong this season.
yeah, I if I'm Houston, I would stick with the Czar. But like the problem is when you have Czar and you have a good Rhine player, you really can't play Czar as effectively. So we'll see what they do. I mean,
That might be why that May pick is so crucial to their Brawl comp, because
yeah, they wall
if you
off.
can
the tank.
deal with that Reinhardt early, the Zarya just gets to walk for free with high energy.
Yeah, I mean, well, at first they did play Ram, right? And so they walled off the tank. They played Ram. They punched through the shield. But I don't know.
Getting that
Okay.
cleave damage on the core.
Yeah. I mean, I'm interested to see, and also the other thing too is you get the slow, right? The vortex is a really
Yeah.
powerful.
The
CC
Vortex can be
ability.
super powerful, especially when their team's trying to use speed to engage. If you can just drop a Vortex in the choke, it can stop a whole engagement,
Yeah.
especially on the back line. If you can slow the back line, get the back line and the front line split, just,
Wait, Trash Can said Rialto? Okay. I
Rialto.
guess their GM said
that
Rialto.
is a poke map. It
Yeah,
can-
I
it
mean,
can be a
that is
poke map, yeah.
That is a very good Widow map, especially on defense. I mean, if you hold defense, well, it could be offense too. Whoever gets the first pick, controls the high ground now, and they have to back up past that first choke. So
Might see some goofy picks, maybe a hog. Maybe we see some hog hooks into the water, put them in the drink, as they say.
We'll see. I mean, I don't know. If you play hog against a Rhine, you really can't effectively hook them because you have to wait for that shield to go down. So unless you bombard the shield or force him out.
That first corner though can be really daunting against a hog, but once you get past that first corner, the hog finding a lot less value.
Yeah. Okay, so apparently MTL's gonna attack first.
I'm excited to see. You're talking up the insanity Widowmaker. I'm ready.
I'm hoping to see it. I mean, it's also possible we see like a Pharah.
Pharah can be good on this first point, but due to the strength of some of the hit scans, it can be a little daunting to try and get that poke in without falling too early.
But you can also just play ground Pharah. I mean, ground Pharah is still pretty good.
Yeah. Pharah just doing tremendous amounts of spam damage, and in a poke comp, that's exactly what you're looking for.
We'll see. I mean, I wonder if we'll see a Sigma or something in that case.
Sigma tends to be the traditional pick, or like a Diva or a Winston. You know, to attack those high grounds on attack. But I wouldn't be surprised to see.
Oh, wait, they're running Sim? Are they using it to get out, or are they actually gonna run Sim? This is a weird comp. I don't think I've seen this.
Interesting comp out of Houston. No hit scans.
And Parasite is running the Widow. I don't know about their other. Okay, they're running Widow Genji. So they're kind of.
It looks like they're going for that dive. They're gonna attempt to take this high ground advantage.
So they're playing like a dive into like a rush comp.
See if Marked Up can hit some shots on a Genji, or a maybe spam out the Brig.
Yeah.
Punish their backline for the lack of mobility, maybe, with the spam.
See what they do.
Chris taking early high with a bubble. Montreal just content with pushing this cart to corner. And Houston seeming pretty content to give them first corner. Houston seems to be setting up on that second corner.
Kind of playing that high ground, just forcing them to give up space. Yeah. They're kind of just giving up free space for this first choke. I mean,
yeah. Really, the team fight's starting here in about 5 seconds, if I'm being realistic. We're getting set up. The noose is being set up with Parasite on the off angle as Widow.
Parasite getting forced out though. Marked Up gets that first pick. That's huge. They don't have that Widow anymore. I mean, now they can kind of just hold this angle for free. Genji going in the high ground.
Montreal just taking quick pushes into the back and dipping out pretty soon. They're taking too much poke. Good amount of card push for first point, and especially that they're going to be able to make swaps. Chris making a swap to Sigma here. That's a pretty good swap here, especially if you're dealing with the second choke. The second area, very good for Sig.
I don't know if I like that to push initially though, because as the rank player, you can just kind of poke through the shield and ignore the Sig.
But if you let that Sig out into this open space on point 1, he is going to do some damage.
Okay, and
but
they're high ground.
They're stuffing that corner. They're pushing on the Sig, understanding that you can get a little bit closer and not let him push.
Para gets slept, and that's a big pick. Big sleep.
Yeah, Marked Up putting in work on this Junkrat, really pressuring those high grounds and off angles. It's like Montreal setting up, getting all 5 in position. Early pick on Big Green.
That's a big pick.
I think we see Montreal push in here. Nano on the Sigma. This is exactly what I was talking about. You see the Sig in this open space, just controlling. That second half of point 1, very strong for Sig.
And Insanity has to back up. He's kind of secluded from his team now. He kind of has to die before he get out.
Marked Up getting rocked. He's very low. The Sigma ult comes out and gets 2. Houston in alone with the Juno ult. Just beat down.
Insanity's still in their
TP
back
onto
line.
point. Immediately taken out. This could be a big tire.
He gets the
And it
Sigma.
takes out Chris.
Establishing aerial
They will hold it 0.9 meters. Montreal's forced to regroup.
They have 40.
And Booger might be getting staggered here.
They have 40 seconds. I mean, that's enough time for maybe one more fight, maybe 2.
Yeah, we are in one fight territory maybe.
Definitely one now. They're just kind of getting poked out here.
Chris making this swap to Reinhardt.
Makes sense. Trying to out brawl the ramp. Pulled a shield against the.
I mean, you
the
see
poke.
both teams with that spam poke. You have Parasite with the spam poke and Marked Up with the spam poke. Just really trying to knock down those health bars before the team fight starts.
Chris going in. He's kind of alone.
Yeah, Chris a little split. Both tanks
is
going
half,
below
gets
half health. Chris
Parasite
nanoed.
falls, though. That's a big peg.
A big nano out of Tracer Eraser there.
Kind of back up. Insanity's trying to touch.
Now
They
this looks
get it,
firmly in the territory of a Montreal fight win.
And they get that
And we're
first
gonna
point.
keep playing.
solid work.
2 minutes 30, add to the clock. Not a lot of time to cap second. We're looking at an overclock shatter out of Montreal with just an annihilation for an answer.
I'm surprised that Insanity hasn't run the Widow. I mean, that looked like really strong week 1, but I mean, again, I didn't see week 2. And I mean, also Parasite's really good on that Widow. We'll see. Okay, Sojourn goes down.
Looking for a more sustainy kind of brawl look with this May on point 2. This could work out for them, splitting off the Reinhardt if possible.
Nice work, T.
Chris almost falls off.
Chris
gets
is-
antied. He shatters. Tries to get marked up. He gets out.
Chris goes down.
Okay, they get the ram though. Popped ult too. That's big.
Houston really leaning on the sustain. Both teams trading tanks, and Montreal looks like they're gonna win this fight.
Thanks.
Oh, Montreal just express pushes here to the third point. Another 2 minutes 30.
Parasite. Wait, no, sorry. Marked up gets a pick on dead side.
This is big. If Montreal can keep pushing, it's gonna be all down to holding that first point.
We'll see. I mean, they swapped to Orisa. I think they realized that they need to poke more.
I mean, crucially, the defender's advantage on this third point is super strong.
Yeah. Okay, they popped the window. That's a big
Ult's,
wall.
ult's being used at the beginning area.
Okay, they
they-
popped Nano. Parasite picks off Insanity. Insanity did swap to Widow, and that's what I was saying earlier. That I think Insanity was scared and skeptical to run the Widow against Parasite.
I think Houston might get time for 1.5 more team fights, but
Insanity.
they do
swapped
have ult
fast.
advantage. If they can force out an ult here, yep.
Okay, that's a Juno ult. That's a Blizzard. That's
You
big.
have to win this fight with these ults.
Looks like they're about to. They get 3, 4, and I think it's just one left. It's just no, sorry, 2. The Ana. Ana falls. Oh, he kills him.
Houston's coming up on that annihilation.
They have about a minute
But-
left.
Once again, you see Chris and Dead Inside with their ults in lockstep coming in. They're gonna have those up to face that annihilation. The real question is, can Houston out-sustain these two ults with their annihilation?
Potentially.
Chris moving in position to get that ult out. Chris going critical.
He gets an M more though.
Chris
falls.
going down early.
Marked up falls.
Okay, they get para, they trade.
We're not in overtime yet. Montreal might be able to force another full fight.
They pop another all.
You're done.
Okay,
They take care of. This is huge.
That's huge. That's big.
Chris is
That's
coming
massive.
back.
I mean, they have what, 10 seconds? They gotta push this, and they're down a tank. The Bastion's coming back. Their tank just respawned.
Overtime spawn's still not active until now. And Chris goes down.
Falls.
This looks like it's it
Para
for
falls.
Montreal. It's a good push though,
That's a really good push. I mean, you have to.
especially
hold.
being in overtime on those first cap.
We'll see.
Made up a lot of ground on second. Very quick push.
We'll see what MTL or yeah, MTL does on defense.
Initiating match.
I'm excited to see whether or not Houston goes for something other than the sustain comp for attack. If they go for something a little bit more peaky, a little bit more fast push, just to grab that first bit of space like Montreal did.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. I mean,
Or if maybe
Yeah.
Montreal could even go for something like a bit of a closer hold here, trying to stall out the clock.
we'll see. It looks like they're running almost the same thing. They're running the Bapalari backline on MTL, and then Moira.
Montreal going with that high
very
sustained shooter comp. Everybody
Very
can
good,
shoot.
Juno.
Looking at large amounts of spam damage, especially down main sight lines.
And look, Insanity does opt to go with the Widow out of spawn.
Yeah, I mean, the Widow pick is so much more free on attack, because if you don't get those picks and you want to swap, you're not punished as nearly as much as if you make that mistake on defense.
That's true.
5, 4,
See what they do. I mean, you know, there's two
It's
players
all
on the
croissant
back.
here.
All croissant.
escort the payload.
Okay, Montreal opting to hold this first corner a little bit harder than Houston,
Yeah,
especially with that Alari pylon to provide healing.
not giving up that free space.
Insanity taking that long angle, trying to get Tracer Eraser on that angle.
Well, they got the pylon. That's big.
Insanity has a good view on Montreal's backline here.
Era falls. I mean, Farah put in work. Farah's low.
Montreal stabilizing on that second corner.
Working on your injuries. Keep close.
Let's see what they do now. I mean,
Dead Inside putting in an immense amount of pressure on that, getting pushed out by Insanity on that off angle, forcing him off of that
Arista-
angle.
Rissa no gold. Crucially having to back up now.
That Alari pylon is in place, but Insanity's eyeing it. Insanity going on a deeper flank on the Reaper.
Yep.
Looks like he's angling towards the back line. He's been spotted by Dead Inside, but
Yep.
both
Yep.
DPSs on Montreal are below half.
I mean, now they have to focus him.
That Reaper's pushing in on the back line.
He tries to get one. They aim more. They're now
Insanity
all
going down, but
That's big.
enough
Wait,
of a
that's big.
distraction to lose Chris with a K to the back line, paying attention to the Reaper.
And enough for Mark to get in there and get a double kill with the Farah.
Yeah, Insanity grabbing a huge amount of space there for his team.
That's
It's not just a tank that can grab space. If you push a backline like that on Reaper, they're forced to look.
That's true. And it looks like they might be able to touch one more time. They commit
You know,
the
Montreal has a strong chance at this touch.
Oh, that's a big
Oh, Beatdown just...
they got
It's a huge play from Beatdown, just pushing straight past the Amp Matrix and pushing in on that whole team, making it so that Chris gets split.
That's true, but Chris did get two of them. Unfortunately,
All of Montreal getting
they
the
might
forward
attack.
spawn, they're going to be able to hold close again on second.
That's 3 hits.
If you're Montreal, you really want to slow them down in this section of the map.
Okay, that's a big Ram ult. Walking into the Juno ult. That's a big combo. Bastion ult. Trying to push him out. Doesn't get anybody.
Chris goes
Get
down.
three.
Dead Inside's close to going down. Dead Inside's down. Tracer Eraser getting cleaned up. And that is a fight win for Houston.
And it looks like they're still pushing this cart. They have 2 people on. So
Yeah,
and
Houston
now they're
making really good progress.
Yeah, they're
This
making
attack
good
could come
use.
down to the wire.
They're making good
Another
use of
close.
their distraction. Like the Reaper just kind of not necessarily getting the picks, but forcing them to look another way.
Houston playing very aggressive, pushing into this choke.
Yep. They get another. Okay, Para fall.
Push their ult advantage.
Para's low.
Houston looking dominant on this push.
Yes.
Insanity putting in a lot of work. He's really making sure that they never have a chance to really set up and choke. He's constantly flanking. Constantly grabbing attention and space.
Reaper's really good at that. He's almost like a mini tank, especially, you know. You kind of have to look at him.
He's able to...
Oh, and he's going for another flank. And now his most of, okay, he does fall, but
I mean, look at the distance here.
I mean, yeah, look, I mean, they still have 4
There's
minutes.
4 minutes on the clock. We're forcing out ults from Montreal.
Booger's really low. Chris is really low. Chris falls. Mark is going in. Mark gets another. It's just the Alari, I
Houston's
think.
looking very strong on this Ram Rush with like the poke hybrid.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of just abusing the fact that they have to look at the Reaper, and they did swap though with the Sojourn. I imagine they did it to deal with the new poke and Junkrat now.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really as many places you can deep flank on Reaper on this, so I think he's opting for the Sojourn just to get those. The off angles are better for doing damage on Sojourn.
Yeah.
And crucially, I think Dead Inside's putting in a lot of damage on this Sojourn. Insanity trying to force him out of his angle.
Okay, Amor gets out early. They have to get that pylon. I think that pylon is just kind of killing. Nobody seems to be looking at it. Okay, they did pull it back. That's a big window, though. Okay.
Yeah, Houston getting a fight win with that ult, and that ends that map. We're 1-1 in the series.
Very close. I mean, let's see where Montreal takes us.
I mean, this could go to 5. If
That's good. I mean,
if
this is,
things keep going like this could easily go to map 5.
I mean, what was it? Montreal and Miami did go to to map 5 round week 1.
I mean, it really looks like both teams have a plan and are trying to execute.
We'll see what they do.
The map pick going back to Montreal. If you're Montreal, I could see maybe a clash pick, maybe a hybrid pick. Really just going for that 5-man brawl.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on what they're more comfortable on. You kind of want to pick a map that like Houston's not going to be able to run it down on, you know.
I think Montreal's comps definitely favor these shorter angled maps.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, maybe they'll take them. Well, yeah, no, maybe they'll take them Icon Wall. We haven't gone to a hybrid yet. That's a really good first choke. I mean, if they play Junkrat or something like that there, you know, I saw Para at the end playing Junkrat.
I could see maybe a cheeky Hanaoka or Anubis coming in here.
Perhaps. We'll see what they run in a minute. I think they're deliberating.
Who do you think the real difference makers are in that first couple of maps? Who are you seeing?
I mean,
putting in a
Marked Up
ton
were
of
getting-
work.
I mean, both Insanity and Marked Up were getting like doing an equal amount. Like Insanity, at least on that last map, was putting in a little more work than Marked Up. But like on the previous map, Marked Up was putting in more. So I think it like they kind of play off each other, and depending on the map, you know, and they kind of, you know, one distracts and the other one gets the picks. You know what I mean?
I definitely think when Montreal's DPSs lock in with Chris and really move in step, it looks pretty scary, but it's very difficult to execute these rushes when, you know, Houston's DPS are splitting the back line from the front line from Montreal and punishing, trying to
Yeah,
make sure that they can isolate Chris with a K. But when they do move in step together, like Chris with a K is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I think when they play that more death ball comp, you know, like it's very hard for them. But right now they're kind of playing split, and and they're not playing like super fast, you know. So that gives Houston enough time to kind of make that flank, and then like split their backline.
I think this
And it looks like they're going to Throne.
this Throne of Anubis pick could be really strong for Montreal if they end up pushing and they end up not getting isolated, but pushing this death ball comp. They look very good, like I said, when they're moving in step and in sync. But Marked Up and Insanity doing a really good job of drawing attention away from that frontline battle and causing the supports to use resources that would have otherwise been used in the fight with Chris.
Yep. And I mean, I've played on this map enough to know that like Pharah is really good, especially on this first point. You can kind of just like split people off, especially there's like that upper platform, and if you get somebody with a concussion blast and like move them off, they have to rotate back up, and that gives them enough time to pick somebody off.
Yeah, I think the second set of points can be really crucial for whether or not you're moving together as a team and whether or not you're able to control that high ground on the second set of points, the B and C points, or no, B and E or D, B and D.
B and D.
Yeah, those B and D points, very crucial high ground. The rotations have to be optimal, or else you'll get caught out by that defender's advantage.
Yep. And especially when you get to that last point, I mean, you have to play it carefully.
But let's be
because
serious.
the
That
outliers
last
can
point,
attack.
if you're attacking on that last point, you're just trying to invest as little as possible and draw all the resources out of the enemy team.
Yeah, if you do that, you know, see if you can get their ults out.
You want to
Maybe
force that.
build up your own, and then back up. You don't want to like, you don't want to, unless you get a chance to take it. I mean, it's really hard even after the.
Yeah,
the
it can
buff
be
to
really
take it.
important to just live and fight that other point.
Well, let's see what they run this time.
No, I expect to see both teams doing a pretty heavy brawl, especially on this first point. First point being a very strong brawl point. Not
Let's
a ton
see.
of space for your tank to play anything else.
In about 3 seconds, we'll find out. All right, they're running the
Ram and Orisa.
Ram and Orisa. They're running the. Okay, they're opting. MTL opting for the Sim. I think that's a good pick. I mean, you kind of.
No, I've
It's a
seen
confusion.
Sim and I've seen Venture really run these clash maps if they're not dealt with.
Yeah, but crucially, if you look at Houston, they have May, and on this point, it's really big, and especially with like Eventual or Coalescence or anything else like that, they have to get through that wall.
I think if you're Houston, you're really looking to isolate people with that May wall and cause the split in that 5-man, brawl. You do not want Montreal playing together.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to take on the full force of MTL, but once you get that split, it becomes more manageable.
Houston taking a lot of early poke. Montreal going low as well.
They're getting this flank, going after their tank.
Montreal gives up point control, working on some of these isolated picks. Montreal's still a unit.
Okay, they get marked up early. That's huge. Getting the May blocks off their separation.
It's like just a bit of cleanup here.
And it looks like MTL might be
Montreal,
taking the
yeah,
first point.
opting to take a lot of space here, trying to push up into the choke.
Yep. The Sim holding the Sim turret's holding that choke.
Now
There's a lot
here's
of-
where the attack can go awry. If you do not take the proper rotation, you may end up getting split here by the wall.
Okay, it looks like they took a TP in.
Early
First
wall.
walls, the wall being crucial to separating them.
Yeah, Montreal choosing to back up. Comeback is 5.
Yep.
Early picks on Parasite and Chris.
And the point's about to open. It looks like Houston's probably just gonna take this. I mean, they might have
Montreal
a
has a touch here, especially since they have Sim and Lucio.
Yeah.
It just
I
really
think
matters how they approach this.
Well,
Chris
they're going
taking a
in
ton of
trade
poke
in.
coming into the point. He's gonna drop his ult
Big
here. They're
beat.
gonna drop beat. They're
They
dropping
don't get
3
anything with
ults.
it.
They really want this point.
They got it though. I mean, it looks like they're fighting. Big Green falls, and it looks like they're about to flip it. Again, I
Houston-
think Houston has like another touch. I think.
Houston has a pretty strong ult bank. Honestly, I don't think Houston gets a solid touch in here.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna touch. I think, yep, they're gonna have to
They're
give
gonna
up.
drop a late ult here. This is exactly what Montreal wants. They want them using ults.
Yep.
Chris
This is-
goes down, but
right.
ultimately it's inconsequential. The point's not even unlocked yet.
Yep.
We're looking at a Houston fight win after the point.
I mean, it opens in 6 seconds. That's enough time for them to regroup at least, especially
Yeah,
now.
if you're Montreal here, you're just trying to work up that ult bank and
Yeah.
trying to force some of these ults out of Houston.
I mean, you already have 2. You already have 2 ults.
Yeah, it looks like Montreal's just angling to control this B point. They're very comfortable just sitting back and waiting for that point to cap.
Yeah.
Are we looking at a Juno ult?
Okay. I mean, that's kind of honestly, if
It's questionable for sure.
I think they just wanted to like quick rotate, get a pick.
Well, it looked like they were pushing that ult to try and sustain a fight that wasn't happening. Like,
Yep.
Montreal was perfectly fine with kiting that, but
Chris and CJ, Dead Inside go down. Booger. They can't.
yeah,
seem
I
to
mean,
destroy the sim
Montreal
turret.
loses their coalescence as well, so it's not the worst trade that the Juno ult for the coalescence there, and it ends up getting them almost all of point B by the time Montreal gets back, and the
that's a big
grab comes
grab.
out.
But they block it. But it holds them long enough for them to hold.
Advanced objectives.
We see another ult coming out. It's ultimately inconsequential to the capping of point.
Chris having to hold shield against this full charge Zarya.
I mean, this
Yeah,
is
they're
what
back
people
up.
talk about when they talk about Clash. It's just a few ults at inopportune times, and the momentum of the whole match can change.
Chris segregating their tank.
Houston having a very strong advantage at this point. Montreal still playing
low.
super scrappy.
Okay, their support, both their supports are down. I mean, this is big.
He's
for
on high
Houston.
charge, very low HP though.
He goes. Okay, they get Chris and Para. Mark does go down, but I think they hold this point. And
I
looking
mean, if
at
you're Houston, you're just trying to snowball this advantage that you've gained.
yeah, I
Just
mean,
a few ults misused, and you can snowball most of this map. Coming into this point, this is where things start to become neutral again.
yep, and they get both. Well, they get a support and a DPS. Let's see. I mean, they're kind of just holding
Mainly
it
just
now.
staggers at this point. We're looking points unlocking. Montreal's gonna have one chance at this point in order
have
to
another
turn around that
grab.
momentum.
They have another grab. They're going left side MTL. We'll see if they notice it.
Yep.
Okay.
No,
Chris
Houston's
going in.
definitely rotating.
They force the beat, and Chris kind of.
Chris getting split.
Chris low. He's having to hold shield against the. Hold. They nano the Ryan. Okay.
Yeah, Montreal just ending up out sustaining this this Houston defense here.
I mean, that
Houston
was
blowing a couple of
what?
ults, just trying to
two,
get through that
three
Rhine
ults?
shield, but
That was 2 ults that were wasted basically now.
I wouldn't say wasted. That definitely was a team fight.
I mean, it was a team fight, but like the fact that they lost it. They
As
definitely
long
won
as
that
the
back.
point's ticking, it's probably an okay ult, I would say. But if we see an early ult here, I would consider that more of a waste.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of ult, they're about even. I mean, they have a Juno ult though. They have a.
I mean,
Okay,
the match is
up
tied up.
wall.
We're pushing it. Oh no!
They wall off
Chris
the
with the K
tank.
pushing through onto the Juno, getting walled off and isolated. Parasite with a
Para,
Reaper ult in the middle.
Okay, they get the tank,
Montreal somehow manages to make this fight so scrappy.
and it's just marked. They get him. And they're gonna, I think they're gonna cap point here. I don't
You know,
think they have
some
enough.
heroics out of the Montreal backline here, forcing those trades out and still managing to win that fight down a tank.
This is a much closer game, and it's now point for game point for MTL.
Now here's
If they
this
get the next
crucial rotation for Montreal. We need to see how they approach this point. If they have a plan, because Houston is already set up with that defender's advantage. You really do have to think about how you rotate into point and take as little damage as possible while getting close for that brawl.
They do have that beat, so potentially useful. See if they can touch.
I imagine they're probably going to want to hold that beat for Annihilation
Oh
here.
wait, they do get 2. Wait, that's big. It's okay. Well, that's a 2 ult. I mean, that's 3. Okay, and
Montreal,
it's just 1.
just their
MTL
DPSs and a DPS ult left on point.
Unfortunately,
Houston definitely gets a touch in here.
potentially. I think they do.
Montreal's looking like they're on the back foot here. They need to hold out until the rest of their team gets here. Early pick on the Juno. That is huge. That is something you want to see if you're coming back in on this point. But Montreal opting to back up and regroup instead of taking that even fight without the Juno.
And it looks like Houston's taking the point right now.
Yeah, Montreal saying we are fine with setting up on this next point and just taking it here. Even whoever wins this last point wins this map.
And I mean, if I'm MTL, I'm liking the look of this. You already set up. You have 3 ults on deck.
Yeah, no, MTL going for this really strong pincer maneuver. Aeon's in the back line.
Big anti.
Chris puts out an ult. He's got nano.
They get the
They're
tank,
investing heavily in this fight.
but will it pay off? I mean, the point hasn't even unlocked
Houston's
yet, and
going to get another try at this.
they'll get
It's
one
going to be
more.
difficult. Montreal's positioning pretty forward.
I mean, if they get the touch, they have to push now.
Oh yeah,
They're gonna be down.
they're
a few.
going to get a touch. It's whether or not they can out-sustain and manage. Juno down early again. That's pretty big. Reaper
Oh, and they
onto
get
the
it.
ram.
And MTL takes map 3. Map 3.
Montreal looking very comfortable at the clash. As I said, I think that if they can manage to play all 5 as a unit, they're a very scary team, especially in these maps with short sight lines. Short sight lines being a very strong strength of the Montreal Brawl. And you know, you see Houston with their May comps and you see them honestly favoring these longer angled maps where they can take these longer flanks and cause this Montreal core to split a little bit.
But it's really hard to split people on unless you Maywall the tank perfectly. It's really hard to split people on Clash.
Yeah, close quarters, close angles, good amounts of flanks too.
I mean, we'll see. I think Houston.
Honestly, I see, like I said, I see Houston here maybe picking something with a little bit longer sightline, a little bit more favorable to Marked Up and Insanity, who are comfortable on those maps where they have the space. They have the space where they don't have that, you know, Montreal core breathing down their neck without getting punished on the back line where they're split because of that distance.
Yeah, and I mean, if I'm Houston, I want to pick a good map here. This is game point for MTL.
Yeah, this is map 4.
Map
If it
4,
keeps
yeah,
going tit for tat, we're gonna get a map 5.
potentially, but they have to. We have to see what they do on map 4 first. I mean, Houston. They both been pretty neck and neck so far. It's just, you know, whoever uses the ult effectively and whoever gets the first.
I think
you know, support
I
pick.
think earlier you said Hollywood could be a good map pick for Houston here.
Yeah,
And I agree with those sight lines, especially on point 2. Lots of good space to really split up that Montreal core. Second point being kind of a nightmare to try and full push.
Yeah, we'll see what they do. I mean, on attack though, it's gonna be really hard for Houston because with that May, you really can't do that. So I would imagine they probably swap to like the cast or something.
You know, I imagine if you're Houston, you You just really want to get through point 2 if you are going to pick Hollywood. We've still yet to see which point they've decided to go to, which map. Seeing, backline on a Montreal really waking up for that last map, really getting in the mix, getting scrappy, making those trades after the tank fight, is over. Both tanks are traded, trying to clutch up those fights.
Well, I
Houston
think
showing really good, good usage of those May walls, trying to split their team, really try and get isolations on Parasite or Chris or Booger.
yeah, what I've seen though from MTL is the more they play, the more they understand their opponent and what they're gonna do. So they're becoming more and more confident to push even without their tank, and that allowed them to make a crucial push and get that point.
Yeah, Montreal's definitely willing to play those scrappy fights when it breaks down, and it's all about those trades. Just trying to get those trades out as quick as possible. Houston opting for the Numbani pick.
That's another long sight line. I wonder what MTL will pick. Because
This is another map where if Montreal tends to split, you're going to have a lot of opportunities to punish. I think this is a good pick out of Houston.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, it's hard to push this on attack. I wonder what they'll pick.
I think Houston just trying to drive a wedge between Chris and the rest of his team.
Yeah, the other thing too is they've been trying to deal with the Orisa, and the Zarya has been working a little well, but they also pick the Ram occasionally.
It's definitely more of a dive map, but it can be a lot of a dive poke hybrid, which I think Houston favors a lot more than Montreal. Montreal really liking that brawl dive hybrid.
I think that Monkey and Diva are really good on this map. So is Doom, but
I've seen Chris play plenty of Monkey, and I do foresee maybe some Monkey out of Chris here, especially on first point.
At least on attack. I don't know about defense.
Yeah, maybe not so much defense, but I could also see a Ram out of beatdown on defense, just controlling those choke points on the high ground, making sure that their angles of attack are very limited. That Montreal might be forced to run down lanes that they would prefer not to.
Oh, I remember this is game point if MTL wins. Houston's gonna have to figure out.
Houston's fighting for that map 5.
Both teams really strong. It really depends on who gets that first pick and do they use those ults effectively, especially on Clash. That was huge. Let's see here. We get as you predicted, the Ram, and I don't know. Okay, they're playing the dive on attack. It looks like.
Yeah, Houston's going for this poke brawl that they've been so strong at sustaining and dealing tons of damage on these rotations, and Montreal being forced to make super clean rotations and not get isolated. I think it's a very good showing, or a very good choice out of Houston coming into this map. Their strategy, I think this could be a strong defense, although if Montreal manages to get some of those early picks and manages to push together, this could be quick.
We'll see. Oh, they're opting for the Sombra on attack.
Yeah, Montreal pushing out wide on coast side.
They have that Twerb holding that back line. Let's see here.
Houston just sustaining this high ground.
CJ falls.
Becoming a pillar.
That inside circle.
Yep, and you see Montreal
falls.
getting split by that absolute wall that is the sustain of Houston on that high ground.
Yeah, especially with the Torb. They have to get that turret. They have to get through, the Reaper.
If you're Montreal, you really have to find a way to get all 5 of your guys in the fight as quick as possible without taking all that poke that you're going to take from this Houston comp, because this Houston comp's just going to camp this high ground and use that sustain. They're just going to keep holding it. So you have to find that weak spot and try and collapse quick.
They're all Houston opting, or sorry, MTL opting to take this high ground. Okay, they get the Reaper. That's huge.
Yeah, yep. They're gonna
See what
push
they
on that
do.
early pick. Tracer, Booger going down,
Going in early. A little bit too aggressive.
looking even.
Biscuit forcing
Biscuit
that
getting very low.
Biscuit falls,
Montreal's collapsing on this team.
and it's just a tank, and he goes down, and they get that first point.
Yeah, they're finally
oh,
getting that pick advantage and closing in.
Reaper touching. Reaper goes down. I think they get this unless somebody manages to touch. I don't think they have anybody that can though.
Oh, this is definitely going. This first cap is going in the favor of Montreal, and
Objective
I'm interested in seeing if there are any comp switches on the side of Houston, because the second point playing a little differently than the first point. First point being a super sustain heavy point, and then this one being very, very pick dependent.
We'll see.
Houston opted to take a super early fight on this the second point. Beat down, getting down to half.
The Suzu, they're popping rush.
This Kitsune rush just takes a ton of space, trying to push this point onto the
Top
second
EMP.
corner.
That's a big EMP, and they clean up. Suzu out. They're down, and it's just a tank.
And Montreal just music in motion, working those DPSs with Chris, really locking in, pushing together, like I was saying.
I think that the Houston needs to find a way to stop this dive, whether it's a swap or maybe a different positioning.
Montreal opting to put 3 on cart in that quick push, and the team fight starts.
They pop rush.
Houston running it down main, all 5. Really exploding and taking that space, forcing Montreal to spread out. Montreal's very split right now. If Houston can manage to get a pick here.
Okay. MTL gets screen.
Yeah, Montreal manages to out-sustain and out-survive that initial
They
push.
pop. The hack forces the Suzu.
Isolating and taking down one by one each member of Houston.
Yep. And I mean this is crucial. I mean I
The
think this
Reaper
dive-
comes out.
Okay. But he falls. After getting only one.
3v3 Montreal taking down 1. 4v2. 4v1.
I mean, they gotta kind of kite this. He's, get-
Beat down just chasing dead inside.
he's cutting him around the cart. And it's just the tank.
Beat
I
down
mean,
putting in a lot of work just to hold this last like 5 feet.
and it's just him. They EMP.
It's a big molten core right in the middle of point. Almost takes out members of Montreal.
And it's marked up falls. I mean, it seems like Houston doesn't really know what to do about this dive. Okay,
This
they pop
last
Fuel
little
all.
bit very difficult to take care of because of that
falls.
defender's advantage, the closer spawn.
Tracer Racer backing up, trying to.
Think if you're Montreal, you just want to regroup. All 5, make that big push.
I mean, that was a very close push. They were literally 0.06 meters.
Looking at those scrappy fights, trade after trade after trade.
I mean, if you're looking at MTL, they have 2 big ults here. Monkey can kind of be aggressive.
Dead Sign
Marked up
Parasite
Suzu.
trying to take an early pick on Marked Up, using that overload.
Gets
He's got the hammer out.
okay, there goes the beat.
Green critical. Very low.
Okay.
Insanity also low.
Gets one.
Looks like it could be a Montreal fight win here. The turret taking out Dead Inside.
Marked up. It's just green.
Turret just absolutely
Green falls.
peppering members of Montreal. But ultimately the point goes to Montreal.
That was a tough fight at the last point, but I think that we need to see maybe a lineup change here from Houston. I mean,
I actually think Houston's comp heavily favors this third point into Montreal's
yeah,
comp.
that's true. This is a very brawl last point.
I honestly see a comp change
Okay, there goes the EMP.
for Montreal soon. Big ult fight at the beginning of point 3.
And Dead Inside falls.
Going in favor to Houston because just that sustain, the closer angles. I know I was saying the closer angles favored Montreal earlier, but that was when they were on the brawl comp. They're on the dive comp now, and
This is very
just
hard.
a lot harder to push through this corner, this
Booger
choke here.
falls.
This brawl
now they
comp
have
has
to back up.
dominance over this corner.
Yeah, I think we see a swap here, maybe after some ults.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. They have a minute left. They kind of
Also,
got
grouping up as 5, coming up with a game plan. See them taking high.
Kiriko falls early though. Now they have to wait a little bit longer. That's a big stagger. The hack. They wasted Suzu early. I mean, these hacks have been crucial on
Montreal
pushing out of Suzu.
taking a lot of poke damage, moving to this high ground. They're gonna look for a drop behind, try and flip the map on this Houston team. Could be a really strong maneuver into this high sustained core, flipping the map like that.
Chris low. Chris falls.
Trying to force Houston out into the open.
Yep. Almost
In
every
this
single
fight-
time I've seen
Fight's been
hack,
over.
they've been Suzing it almost immediately. If I'm Para, I might start baiting that hack and then
We see the
force
Sojourn
Suzu.
pick out of Dead Inside. We see the Ramantra pick out of Chris with a K. These are the swaps I thought we were gonna see coming into here.
Yeah, but I mean they had ult, so I think they wanted to try and use them before they swap. But they have about 10 seconds.
See
to push
early
themselves
Juno
in.
out of green, early aggression with the beaten response. This fight is getting taken almost in attack respawn.
And Chris is low.
Very high amount of aggression from Houston just to try and get that clock down to 0. Really strong 3rd point hole from Houston.
Yep.
Really maximizing that aggression.
Yeah, from
running the
MTL,
clock
I
down.
mean, I think from MTL, I would have liked to maybe see them swap a little early, even though you might have lost the ult. I would have rather had more time to push with a better comp.
But I mean, overall, not a bad push from Montreal.
No, it wasn't at all. They got past that first point, which is
You
notorious.
know, your win condition is Montreal is just,
Hold that first
you know,
point.
try and hold first. If
Yep,
you can hold
and-
first on this team, it does not matter how far you pushed.
I mean, let's see what they run. I wonder if we'll see the Brawl comp again. I think Brawl on defense on first point is
I
really
imagine we're
good.
going to see some sort of poke dive hybrid out of Montreal here for the defense.
Ready for battle.
We see a Diva. And
Yeah,
it's
you
kind of
see
a
that poke
comp.
dive hybrid.
Yep, and the sim is crucial, especially like this first high ground here that they have to take. You know, you have to put the sim turrets. They have to look at it.
Not sure how strong this Tor pick is from Mark on attack. We'll
Yeah, I
have
don't
to
know.
see.
I mean, I imagine he'll probably be swapping, or I mean, there's still 20 seconds.
Seeing
before-
the
We got work to do.
the Pharah or something might make a little bit more sense.
Yeah, I'm not sure though. They have the cast though, so they kind of have that Kiriko Juno backline.
I mean,
that they like
crucially
that.
on attack, you have options. If you lose that first fight, you can make swaps that the defenders cannot make.
That's true. So I guess we'll see what they do. I mean, they have 4 minutes to take this first point. The sim is already set up. Kind of looks like they're opting to take this high ground.
Cool guy ahead.
Okay, they're going the long way around. And it looks like MTL is now realizing this and setting up.
Yeah, Houston
Okay,
making
we're
this
making-
full rotation, losing members on the way. Crucially, they lose their Juno player.
That's big.
Insanity
And
goes
they-
down, and they're just gonna
Yes,
get slaughtered on that rotation.
Yep.
Yeah, when you lose, you know, when you lose your flex support on rotation, it's very difficult to keep up that sustain into a dive poke comp. I mean, that's what you're trying to do with this dive poke hybrid. You're trying to poke them down, get them low on that rotation, and then dive in and clean up.
Yep.
And that's what we see out of
I mean,
Montreal here on that
And
first.
it looks
first
like
move.
it looks like Houston opts to go for the Zarya maybe to counter that Diva.
I think they're looking for a little bit more of that threat in close range. They want to absorb some of the brunt of that
There you go.
poke.
They pop in more.
Working very well to absorb that
Chris-
poke
Chris
and,
gets
and
team
trade
up.
out Chris's mech. Beatdown's no bubbles, looking at half HP here.
He's getting sustained.
Houston having to
He gets
stabilize.
That's a
Crucially,
quick
Chris getting
remake.
the remake.
That's really fast remake.
Montreal just looking equipped for any push that Houston does here.
Okay, they get the sim. That's huge. Now they get to walk. That's a little bit of pressure taken off.
Green goes down. If Biscuit goes down here, this could still be a Montreal. Ooh. Montreal loses their support.
They pop. Diva bomb. Nobody falls. Chris having to back up.
Chris able to remake barely. We might.
They're trying to
Ooh.
get. Okay, they
Chris
bubbled the
taking
widow.
so much damage from that high charge Zarya.
Chris falling. Okay, that's a big grab. That's a huge grab. They blocked
Houston
the bomb.
having answers for this Montreal comp. Maybe we see some swaps after this ult dump here from Montreal.
I mean, that was a big grab. They blocked the bob. They blocked them from touching.
You know, it seems like Houston made those swaps and really understood the problems with that first attack and fixed them for that.
Yeah.
Montreal making a few swaps as well for the second point.
See, we get more of that dive comp. We got the Winton.
Yeah, well, I mean, Houston's looking like they're planning on doing a lot more poke here, and Montreal not doing as much poke on this. I would say that it might be stronger for the defenders to poke here.
Okay, they get the monkey early. And Tracer Racer is left kind of alone.
Getting a pick.
They have to back
Green
up
getting
now.
a pick on Den's side.
I mean, this is crucial. It's looking
I
very.
mean, they might have one more touch with this Winston.
I mean, keep in mind that even once they get the touch, they.
Oh, and Booger's immediately take it down.
That's big.
Takes two
Chris
Flaming
falls.
Hot Cheetos straight to
Bear's
the
in
face
back.
through the images.
The Tracer Racers left. They popped the Juno ult. They get that. CJ is left alone. Wait, why did it go up atop? Wait, I've never seen that.
This could go Houston's way. That's very short amount of push, and Montreal's just scrambling to push, get their team fully grouped up and grab that space, because this is almost over. This is one fight territory for
And they have almost
Houston.
4
Houston
minutes.
just needs to win this fight.
They have almost 4 minutes too.
The
Okay,
molten core comes out.
denying that space.
Montreal is trapped on the front side of the cart now from that molten core.
Okay.
And Markdub's going for the hammer kill and Booger.
He doesn't get it though.
No, but they do get the fight win. And that's a map for Houston. We're going to game 5.
I mean, this is a lot closer than you would think. Now, it's up to MTL to pick that last map. I mean,
Play of the game.
it seems like whenever they pick a map that they want, they usually win it. Which is good. But for him, they gotta kind of hope that they pick a map that they can.
No, we haven't
Play this
seen push yet, have we?
No, nor yeah, we haven't.
Now, these, depending on which push map they pick, this could go super close. This could be super even coming into this.
We also haven't seen Clash. Or sorry,
No,
Clash.
we saw
Hybrid.
Anubis.
We did see Hybrid. Okay, that was just the Hybrid map. Sorry.
Oh,
We'll see what they play. I mean, they have what, 4 options here? I think.
Montreal making a substitution, putting in Caliho on support.
Okay.
Now, based on my knowledge of Montreal, that they might be running some sort of Baptiste comp, maybe.
From what I know, Caliho is a Moira Bat on a player. I think he's
Yeah.
mostly a Moira Bat player though.
So
least
it looks
that's
like
what
they
they
might be
play
going
with,
for this
though.
double flex support.
I mean,
Interesting choice coming into a push map. We might see a bit of a poke brawl mirror here. Now, if you're Houston, what are you doing to overset this this back and forth thing? Because you have to win 2 in a row here. You have to win. You know, I mean, they won last map, but you need to win that second map in a row in order to take the series.
Yeah,
So
I
far,
mean,
it's
they
just
have to
been
take,
back
they
and
have to take
forth.
them. I think they have to take them to push at this point, which means that depending on what map they pick, they gotta think of a strategy. I mean, there's a lot of things that can work on this map. You know, like a hit and run strategy. You know, we've seen you play that ball
think-
before, and like they go in and out, get push progress.
Yeah,
There's
crucially,
another
I think
option, a brawl.
you might see
front.
some of that Insanity Reaper drawing some attention away. There's plenty of flank routes on these push maps.
Right.
We
It
could
looks-
see some backline Insanity just diving or distracting, causing that chaos in the Montreal backline, causing Chris to get split. It
Well, it looks like
really,
we're going to East Bronza. I'm interested to see what they play. I imagine they'll probably play that Czar pick again. I mean, that's really been working for them.
you know, we could see a few things. I mean, I know there's a few Junker Queen players on Montreal. If we could see maybe a Junker Queen comp out of Montreal, could go pretty crazy.
I don't know if you want to run JQ into Czar unless you force the bubbles out, but like,
I'm just talking about these high grounds where you can just shout and explode onto the enemy backline as 5.
that's very true.
Doesn't
we'll
matter
see
if
what they
she tries to bubble anybody, because you could just explode and really put down a lot of damage onto a single target. It all matters on that communication and playing together.
Let's see. We got
We see a Mauga out of Chris. Could be a joke, could be real, who knows?
No idea. I mean, Mauga is pretty good into
Yeah.
push now. I mean,
Especially-
especially with that speed boost on his run.
Yeah, the Overon crucially getting buffed, and you know, like I said, that explosion was shout on Junker Queen. You could also, you have the explosion of the just a Mauga shift, and then you drop in there with your whole team. You press E and you just brawl on their backline.
As Foliage puts it, the Mauga dive.
Foliage secretly being one of the best Mauga players in the league.
Let's see. They run, getting that charge.
Calho
Off that
taking a lot
Suzu
of
early.
poke. Chris
Beat
pushing in.
tank
Chris going
on
critical
low.
and dying. Can they
That's big.
trade out these tanks? They do trade out the tanks. It's getting scrappy.
Like a gentle rain.
See, oh, Calho goes
Oh,
down.
it's down.
Ogre goes down. See, okay.
Marked up just putting in tons of damage on this Pharah, and Insanity cleaning up with these Cassidy shots.
I mean, this is what they kind of ran. It's either between Insanity on the cast or the Widow, depending on the map, and it looks like the cast map. So, this seems like their bread and butter comp, you know, from Houston.
Houston's setting up Insanity on the high ground. Biscuit on the cart, ready to TP away.
And
Houston gathering in this choke.
MTL contesting the cart.
Neither team really wanting to push under this bridge. Just a ton of damage waiting for either team on the other side.
A new dawn for
Dead
you.
Inside trying to take that high ground.
Insanity contesting that high ground. We have
Popping Suzu early.
Insanity pushing deep with a bubble and a high noon. He gets taken out.
That's big.
Parasite opting to play that Cassidy for the
It's going in, gets Biscuit, gets marked. They get the
good
tank.
cleanup from Montreal.
And now
And
they
honestly, a
try and-
cheap cleanup. No ults being used.
Yep. And I mean, all economy, we got Para almost basically all they got almost coalescence.
Yeah, Montreal looking really good on ult advantage coming into this next fight. If they can control this high ground and control this right choke, it's gonna leave very little options for Houston to push out onto point.
I wouldn't put Houston out yet because they almost have Grav far ult, and you know.
I mean, if you're Montreal, you're just looking to get this forward spawn.
and
An early
Montreal
Cole
kinda
leading to a
holds
few
this.
kills here. That's a very cheap fight win. That's one ult from Montreal. And they have forward spawn. They're in a really great position to really take control of this map.
And now, I mean, Houston does have 3 ults coming up here. We'll see what MTL does about this. I mean, but they do have, what, 4 ults on deck?
4 ults on deck, and crucially, that forward spawn being a big part of how these push maps play.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Okay, they pop rush. They pop, copy goes down early.
Chris going very low. Beatdown in his face, high charge, taking Chris down, walking on the back line. He's gonna take down Booger. He's gonna take down everybody.
In the back. He gets taken out, and they keep pushing. I mean, this is pretty close. I mean, they come back.
Montreal has 2 ults. Houston has 2 ults. Montreal's gonna get this forward spawn, and they're gonna be able to contest at that same choke they started this whole push at in the beginning.
I mean, if I'm thinking about Houston here, they have that combo.
Oh, an early pick on a dead inside. Insanity.
That's huge. That's insane. An early cardiac
The cage
overdrive.
comes out, but Mark.
Mark with the big ult, shutting down the Maga.
This
And
is
Tara
huge
goes
for
down.
Houston. Houston needs to get this forward spawn. They need to come into this fight with this ult advantage. Same place Montreal was just in last fight.
I mean, this has
And
been getting close, you know.
push can-
Just when you think one is up, you know, the other one comes back and says, "No, I
Very
can do
close
better."
match. Montreal's taking a lot of poke by their spawn. Beattown just high charge.
Houston really close.
A
Big
grab!
Big grab. They just
Huge
destroy it very
grab.
early. They clean up,
A very decisive fight win from Houston.
and Houston takes the lead with 5 minutes.
Callow is going to try and stall Card a little bit, but he's going to get taken out by Mark.
I mean, that's a big stagger. We'll see what they
If
do
you're
about
Montreal
it.
here, you really have to stabilize. There's
I mean-
still 5 minutes on the clock, Jack.
And another support goes down. It's 100 meters. I mean, we'll see what they do, but you know, they just lost both supports. They're not stabilized. I mean, they're getting free cart push.
You have to win this fight if you're Montreal, but you do have plenty of time if you do win this fight to get those push.
They pop
You
rush.
take 3 fights. You win this fight, you take 2 more fights for the lead.
Chris really low. They pop coalescence. Beat down goes down.
I'm sure if you're Montreal, you're thinking,
Green goes down, and they take cart back. I mean, Biscuit's kind of on his lonesome. He gets okay.
and crucially, Montreal has 0 support ults for this next fight. They're gonna have to win 2 fights in a row here just to take back that lead.
I mean, they do have 4 minutes though, so
Plenty of time. They just need those ults. Because crucially, Biscuit's coming up on that Kitsune rush. And
That
if
is
he's
like
able to
falling
drop this
early, though.
Kitsune rush on this choke,
popping that Suzu early.
tons of spam coming out
Oh,
from Mark.
and
Mark
they
putting
hit-
on the ult,
they hit the
trading
tank.
out Chris. Beatdown taking down Booger.
I mean,
And that is not what you want to see if you're Montreal.
No, they're down. I mean, they have
And
what, another 2
Callahub
ults?
being forced over to the Mega, closed in on by both of Houston's DPSs and staggered.
Ho gets staggered. That's huge. And the other thing
Inside,
too is
trying
they
to
have,
put in a little poke from the high ground, backing out. Does not want to stagger.
they almost have 3 ults on Houston to almost.
I don't think they've spotted.
maybe one.
Parasite gets slept and taken
Barrett
out.
gets ult. Houston.
It's a flank ult from Insanity on the back line, gets the bubble and
Chris
cleans
Paul.
up.
I mean, this is looking like this is
Houston
looking-
pushing all of their Q buttons, and we're almost to the end of the map.
I think that's it. I don't think they touched. That's it. Houston takes it.
It's a very close series from both teams, but ultimately Houston just having those fights, those clutch fights with those ults, really getting those big DPS trades every fight.
Yep. I mean, if I'm MTL, I think the main problem was that they kind of just they either got staggered or they had to stabilize and then they kind of died.
I mean, trying to take those scrappy fights and trade really going against them on that push map, whereas it's something that helped them on their clash map, but on this push map being a disadvantage.
I mean, if I'm Houston, that's looking good for me. Like you're now 3-0 and you just beat one of the top 3 teams in Emerald.
Houston having a very good early season.
And I mean, I think next, what do they play next week? Let's see here.
And you just put
KCC next week. And that's, I mean, let's see here. Yeah,
you
I
just
mean,
really have to give a shout out to the whole Houston squad and Trash Can for really making sure they have the support they need, the scrims and the practice and the VODs.
yeah,
And really
I
just
mean,
coming into that with a game plan.
and the other thing too is as soon as they noticed something was wrong, within one fight, they usually like discovered what it was and made the swap or the change
He's been
immediately.
doing very well at quickly adapting to each of these Montreal strats. Montreal gaining strats and like gaining fight wins for one fight, only to be countered the very next fight by Houston. Very quick adaptations and a very good series from both teams.
So if I'm Houston, right, next week they play KCC, which Miami, my team, just beat. If I'm like Houston, I'm thinking we're most likely winning that, right? Unless KCC pulls something out, I mean, unless something happens, I'm thinking that's a win. The next time they have a big fight is against us, and that's in week 5. So we'll see. I mean, unless KCC proves me wrong, I mean MTL might be able to beat Pitt next week.
I mean,
But
Houston's definitely looking to keep this win streak going and have a very strong season. Montreal looking to bounce back against Pitt next week. I guess we'll just have to tune in and watch next week.
Yep. Well, I think that's it. I don't. Do you have anything else?
I mean, this has been United Rogue Overwatch Emerald. Very good series. 5-map series between Houston and Montreal. Thank you for coming out and thank you for casting with me, Jack.
Yep. You're welcome. It's been a great time.
And I think that's it.
See you guys.